What's good, ladies and gents? Super Fresh Adrien Soriano here. If this is your first time to the YouTube channel, then allow me to say welcome. But the reason why you clicked on this very specific video is because you're curious, right? You want to know the answer to the very hard-hitting question, what does it mean to be super fresh? Well, you came to the right place. But before I can answer that question for you, we're gonna have to take a trip down memory lane to when I was a young pup. When I was a kid, I was very quiet, shy, reserved, didn't really do anything to, stand out, set myself apart from many of the other kids. And I was the same way in high school. I got older, I was still that quiet, shy, reserved kid. That wouldn't really change for me until I started my career in professional wrestling back in 2015. And if we know anything about pro wrestling, you know that you can't attempt to have a career in a business if you're shy, reserved, quiet, because pro wrestling is all about that over the top personality, crazy gimmicks, crazy personas. You got guys like Hulk Hogan, The Rock, Stone Cold Steve Austin, all really, really over the top personalities, and those are the pro wrestlers that were able to become some of the biggest stars in the business. So I knew going in that if I wanted any chance of success, then I myself, I'm gonna have to come out of my shell and really try my best to not be that quiet kid anymore. It was really difficult for me at first too, especially when it came to cutting promos, delivering a message to the people in order to maybe hype a matchup or sell an event. And I struggled big time with that. I had a big fear of public speaking. I remember in high school, I had a paper that I had to present in front of the class. I remember standing in front of the class and shaking, as I was reading my presentation to the class. But with time and practice, I was able to get out of that, and I've been able to become a lot more comfortable with being in front of the camera and talking to the people. It's actually one of my favorite parts. But besides the promos, another aspect that I really struggled in was figuring out in who I was as a performer. I was part of a trios with my tag team partners, and one of the reoccurring criticisms that we've gotten throughout the years is, we needed to find our own individuality within the tag team. And that was difficult in itself, because not only did I have to figure out who I was inside the tag team, but I had to try and figure out who I was in the world of pro wrestling. Like, how can I set myself apart in the team? How can I set myself apart from every single pro wrestler out there? And that's extremely tough to do because there's so many wrestlers out there. But it wasn't up until 2024 where I got my very first injury. I tore my ACL. It took me out of action for over a year. And during that time is when I came up with the Super Fresh persona. During that time off, I was able to really sit back and do a lot of thinking, because I knew that once I made a full recovery and I made my return to pro wrestling, that I wasn't going to be the same performer that I once was. I wasn't going to be going as crazy as I once was. So I needed to really figure out a way on how can I continue to try and get over with the audience without necessarily having to involve the in-ring physicality. And that's where the Super Fresh persona came into play. Back in high school, my nickname used to be Fresh, and it was because how I dressed. I was always I was the fly kid. I always had on the fresh kicks. And I figured, what? Why not bring that into pro wrestling? And then my tag team partner said, hey, why don't you add the super to it? And I'm like, you know what? Great idea. And then that's when Super Fresh was born. And Super fresh simply means to stand out. The philosophy is everyone wants to be good, everyone wants to be great, but that it becomes a cliche. And if everyone's the best, if everyone's good, if everyone's great, if everyone's the best, then no one's the best. You know? That's why I don't aim to be the best. I just aim to be super fresh. But super fresh doesn't just apply to pro wrestling. It applies to life. Because it's about having the confidence to be yourself. Because you know, we live in a world where we can get so caught up about what others might think that we tend to hold ourselves back, you know, and not really show our true selves to the world. But nah, man, screw that. Because can't nobody be you better than you can be you. At the end of the day, it's just about being the best version of yourself. Being authentically you so that you can live your life the way that you want to. Don't worry about what other people think, you know, because they're not living your life for you. And you're not living your life for them. Being super fresh simply means having the courage to be yourself. So with that being said, ladies and gents, if you enjoyed the video, please hit the thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.